Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here,
And BlueDragonFive.
and we just got out of seeing Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dragon, this is our non-spoiler first reactions podcast, and ah, I can already tell I'm going to be the jerk in the room here.
God.
Dragon, this movie bored me. This movie bored me. You want to know how bored I was through this movie, Dragon?
How bored were you through the movie?
I was checking my phone halfway through because I legitimately didn't want to sit there any longer.
Oh, wow.
Dragon, this to me might be my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's not the worst. It's not the worst.
Okay.
I want to emphasize that. It's not the worst.
Okay.
However, I've always defended Phantom Menace on some level for having really good sequences, and Attack of the Clones, well, at the very least, Attack of the Clones is like a really enjoyably bad movie. Like, you can point and laugh at it.
Oh,
Dragon, this movie is so goddamn average. It's so average. I felt nothing in this movie. Like, I'm not gonna say there's not any good sequences or standout moments, and I will say the performances are very good. But Dragon, this movie as a whole is just unnecessary.
Wow.
I really just, and frankly, I feel like the backstory parts of it, like, it was either really shoehorned in and phoned in, or really, like, they complicated it too much. Like I said, I basically, the stuff that I wanted to see work in this movie worked. Donald Glover is great as Lando. I think Alden Ehrenreich did a good job as Han Solo. I think that we have a lot of proper Chewbacca goodness to go around in this movie. I don't know, man. I'm just like, to me, it was everything around that. It was just like, there was just absolutely no tension with this thing. Again, I go back to the point. Like, what was the point of this?
Well, I had a completely different read on it. I really liked it. I did. I'll admit this. I think at the end of the day, you'll walk out of the film saying, it's a lot of fan service. But again, I thought it was delightful fan service. It really did. It's like, if you're to a general audience, you're not going to walk away with a whole lot. And Tiki, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong that we don't need this film. But I liked having this film. Though. It was fun. Well, honestly, it was what I had very simple expectations going the movie, and I got what I wanted. It fulfilled the simple expectation of, I just want to. It kind of fulfilled the promise of the Ron Howard directed film for me, where I want to see kind of Americana on screen with with Han Solo. I want to see kind of like I want to see a story that we've heard kind of rumored all this time. Again, we don't need it, but it was just fun to see. And as you said, the performances hold up, right? Jamie Costa, I think would definitely. I'm sorry. Hmm. Well, also, if anyone's heard about us talk about Han Solo smugglers, the smugglers trade, this definitely for me fulfills that that evolutionary chart of Han's vibe in terms of the performance. Where I was just hoping that the film would hold up enough.
Can you hear me now?
Now I got you.
I don't know what's up with my microphone. I'm getting worried here. Okay, you mentioned the direction. You mentioned Ron Howard. Let's talk about that. Dragon, to me, this movie it's blatantly obvious that it's one of those, like, much more so than Ant-Man. And also, I would say probably to the same, not necessarily to the same level as Justice League, but it's in that same level of, like, it's very obvious that two different teams directed this movie. Because the Lord and Miller parts stand out, the Ron Howard parts stand out, and it does not gel well for me. Like, this movie is trying to be a goofball comedy, but at the same time, it's trying to be as deadly serious as Rogue One.
I gotta tell you, Tiki, and again, I want to make it clear. I want to make it clear to you and the folks. I don't think Tiki's wrong about any of this, but I tell you, I had like an electric theater experience because everybody it was so in tune with Star Wars. It was like it was a room chock full of Star Wars fans just having a blast. Like when the opening, well, again, without saying what happens, you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away comes up, someone had like had a lightsaber that came on. There was like kind of a little delightful, like everyone's in the spirit. Oh, how wonderful! And just going from there was I don't know, it was a blast. I mean, I kind of feel somewhat, and I know you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna be feeling this, but it had somewhat of a. I think we kind of. I think at the end of the day, I'm thinking I like this a little more than Rogue One, and I did. I like. I think I like Rogue One more than most because a lot of people say the first two acts. And look, of course, when it comes down to Rogue One, third act is that movie. It's my
Okay,
favorite
I
third act.
think this movie has better characters and better performances than Rogue One. I'll
And I
give it
think
that much.
and I think that carries it. And I think that made it like more of an
However, I
even.
think Rogue One probably has the better story, and that's what I'm stuck on with this movie. I'm stuck on the lack of a story and the lack of tension.
That's the interesting thing, though, because this thing I feel you have a more. I feel it's more balanced. Where Rogue One, again, it's kind of all. It's when it gets to the third, and you're right. The overall story, which all comes together in that third act, that's where Rogue One really comes alive. And the setting's not bad, but this movie. I feel kind of like it enjoys kind of fleshing things out and fleshing out the characters. But you're right, not like a I don't know breathtaking story because you pretty much know what's going to happen. But it doesn't there are a few minor surprises. And I say minor surprises because they're not really ground shaking. Not going to leave you like going wow, but it's like
We'll say this. This is going to be a short spoiler cast when we get to the spoiler cast.
yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean? It's just I think it kind of it had somewhat of a again not this is going to be a bad comparison, but it has somewhat of a approach, kind of a Better Call Saul approach at an
Oh,
anthology prequel.
oh.
I say that in that it's kind of filling in the
I
blanks of
mean,
like
look, I understand where you're coming from with that, but it's just like this is not Better Call Saul.
well, I don't mean the caliber of storytelling. I just mean in kind of in what Better Call Saul, what the goal set is like. Filling in the blanks of character. Only there, it's much more necessitated, and there's a lot more richer things to go into. In this case, it's we're kind of extrapolating and we're following a character and seeing those adventures unfold. I'm saying it's an approach, not exactly the same thing.
I mean, Dragon, I'm trying to think of ways to express some stuff I had with this movie without giving away.
Well, let me say this real quick. I want to say this. I love the score on this one. The score was way better than it was on the Rogue One. In this case, John Powell, he delivered, I think, an excellent score. They utilized more Star Wars music, and I think Powell also just in the original stuff and the composition was also really good. I thought.
Here's the weird thing, Dragon. I feel like in this conversation, neither one of us are disagreeing with each other in spite of our radically different opinions on the movie. This is
Yeah,
a
that's
very
the
simple
weird
discussion.
thing. Yeah, that's the weird thing. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I the music was very good. It used the classic Star Wars themes in all the right places. It had some really good moments. Okay, can I tell you a nitpicky thing about this movie that kind of ran its way through the whole film, honestly?
And what do you got?
Okay, the creature designs.
Well, want to be specific, or will
Yeah,
you
I can
without?
be a little more specific. So like without giving away exactly what it is, that first creature that you see in the movie, the really bizarre looking one?
Yeah, you mean the one that involves water, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that set the tone for me, Dragon. That set the tone for the whole movie where I'm like, something's a little off with this. Like this, like it looks cool. It doesn't feel like Star Wars.
I got to tell you though,
And for me, like the whole movie was kind of like riddled with creatures like that. And I heard similar complaints about The Last Jedi, but I didn't really feel that way about the creature design in The Last Jedi. But with this, I feel like the creatures are a little too slimy for my taste. Like they just feel like more kind of like gross, like ew, icky aliens, and it feels a little less lived in than Star Wars typically does.
It's so funny. This conversation feels. This is going to sound so like half glass half full, glass half empty conversation here, but it's. I kind of looked at that as kind of a good thing.
All right.
It's like, yeah, we're doing kind of some new stuff. I love
Most
the
civil disagreement ever.
I mean, again, if it was going to sound like a no-brainer, and again, a lot of my, again, I know it's, again, that's why I say it's fan service. It's a necessary fan service, but it's fun fan service, though. It's, we see Corellia, and we go to, Corellia and Kessel. Not a big surprise there. Kind of know that in the plot synopses, but it's,
Okay, now that you mentioned Kessel Dragon, the whole Kessel run of it all, I didn't even really understand exactly what the fuck they were doing, and maybe you'll have to explain that to me off air.
I thought it was pretty straight. I'll explain it to you off air. I thought it was
All
pretty
right.
straightforward, though. I don't really think it's that complicated.
I thought it was a little convoluted.
Well, let's say this again. So I think we can agree that the performances are really good all around. I think we like, the performances were fun. And
yeah. I mean, I definitely think on one character in particular should have gotten way more screen time than he did.
Yeah, but I think we can at least say the actor. Paul Bettany. I thought he did an excellent job in the movie. He was fun.
Okay, yeah, but you will agree, like for the main actor, it was kind of like what the hell are for the main villain? What the hell are they even doing? Like, I feel like Paul Bettany was wasted in this movie, honestly, because he is really good when he shows up, and I do like the visual gimmick they have with him, where he glows when he gets mad and stuff. That's all really good. I just feel like we practically never see him.
I mean, Tiki, I'm going to make kind of an odd. I feel that's kind of the point. I feel that again, it's about the smuggler's life versus kind of like there being like a big bad villain. I think it's just like this are the kind of guys that Han will deal with in the future all the time. I think that's kind of what they're saying with a villain like that.
Yeah, but I guess for me, the disappointment lies in the fact that Bettany was, in fact, a really, he did have a good screen presence to him, and that does kind of, and I like the look of his villain, and I do kind of just wish we would have seen more of him. Like, in this instance, I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of, the big bad guy.
Sure. I don't know what Star Wars, it's like Star Wars now, all the new Star Wars, since they have these cool villains that we really don't spend a lot of time with.
Well, we have Kylo Ren.
Well, not count. I mean I mean like all of the Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm saying Force Awakens, yeah, it is pretty much Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I'm just saying Kylo Ren is amazing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was thinking more like kind of our big kind of guys at the top type villains. But yeah, you're right.
Mean like Hux and Krennic and those types of guys?
I was thinking like Snoke, but yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point rebucked. Okay.
So I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, there's nothing in this movie to really actively point and say they did this bad. They shouldn't have done this. You know what I mean? There's not. There's not an actively bad point in this movie. But by the same token, I mean, I just as someone who loved The Last Jedi, and I don't want to get into that whole conversation.
Yeah, because apparently now
you like what you like,
That's like laying the flag down there. Whenever you talk about The Last Jedi, people get incensed and they always want to combat people over it.
Okay, so. You know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'll lay the flag down. The Last Jedi is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars movies. It's right up there with the original trilogy films.
Yeah, I know. It just still astonishes me because even I when I partake in some live streams and in the comments and everything, whenever someone mentions The Last Jedi, it turns into a free-for-all of people defending it or attacking it. It's insane.
So I guess, you know what? At least The Last Jedi elicited an emotion out of people one way or another. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the problem I had with Solo, is for me, I was just yeah. I just kind of felt very blasé watching it. I was just kind of all right, it is what it is. This is Dragon. This feels way, way, way more like a product than any other Star Wars movie. By a pretty considerable margin.
Let me make this counter, though. I will say that maybe that's not the worst thing, though. Maybe that's the thing. If it's so let me rephrase. Sorry. If it's a product,
I mean, it's a bad thing if I'm just watching it and I'm just thinking yeah, they made this to make money.
Well, no. Let me rephrase. Let me say this. If it's a product that you went in knowing you were going to get. I think that's it's kind of you kind of went in knowing what you were going to get, and I think if you knew what you're going to get going in, I think you walk away happy, and I guess it's kind of maybe where I'm coming down on it. I think.
Yeah. And look, I already have my ticket to see this thing again. All right, so it's not like I'm not going to give this thing a second chance. It's not like I'm not going to never see the movie again.
Yeah.
But at this point, I walked out of the theater slightly disappointed. I mean, not even disappointed, more just kind of like, all right, that was okay. Like I said, Dragon, it failed to elicit an emotion out of me.
Yeah, and I just kind of had like a feel good kind of the whole experience was I had such a feel good vibe about this movie even coming out of it. Like I stayed to the credits when I didn't have to because what, this is nice. I
Okay,
was
and
feeling.
just to clarify, there is no post-credit scene, right?
Oh no, I had time to kill and I was just gonna
Okay,
sit
but
and I was like,
yeah, I get
yeah,
because
sure,
I
sure. So,
walked, yeah, but I walked out, so
yeah, you're right.
okay, I figured. The post-credit scene is that Chewie actually dies in that train crash. And
Uh,
Dragon, when that train thing happens, and then Chewie's just like, "Fine." Spoiler alert! I had to be like, "Ah." All right. I don't know, man. Like I said, this is a very, very civil disagreement, and as I said, I just think at the end of the day, I definitely think for me, I mean, like, I think overall this is probably a more watchable movie than Rogue One from beginning to end. But I respect Rogue One more. You know what I mean? Like Rogue One was a ballsy movie. Say what you will about it, say what you will about the structure of it. Rogue One had thick, plentiful balls, Dragon.
yeah.
And this, it's just like from beat to beat. I will say this, Dragon. I could see the twist coming a mile away. If you like, I could see everything in this movie coming. This is one of the most predictable movies I've seen in quite a while.
There was a big cameo though, which we won't say who, but there was a big.
Oh, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that because I have questions about that.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't excited for it, but at the same time, I have no idea how it works with the timeline.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon. I feel like this conversation is kind of naturally winding itself down. Like I said, folks, this is just kind of a quick first reactions thing. And I just want to emphasize, folks, I don't hate this movie by any stretch, but I feel like this is the movie this is a Star Wars film I'm probably gonna have the least to say about when all is said and done. Like, because with the prequels, it's like the prequels all have their I mean, Attack of the Clones is just a straight up terrible movie, but I'm kind of starting to grow like a Batman and Robin style fondness for Attack of the Clones for that
See, I
reason,
still
Dragon.
do.
I'm not gonna lie.
I really don't get that line of thinking of like the whole Attack of the Clones. Still, even if it's a Batman Robin experience, how is that better than I don't know? At least this was consistent versus I don't know.
Okay, look, I mean, I'm just saying, like Attack of the Clones. There's certain scenes in that movie that will live on for infamy until well after I'm dead, Dragon. Like that sand thing is gonna outlive me, Dragon. All right, that's what I'm saying. And I don't think any moment in this movie, any moment in Solo, is going to outlive something like that. Like just like the sheer badness and the sheer audacity of Attack of the Clones is going to be more memorable than this movie, anything in this movie.
Because sand, it just gets everywhere.
It's harsh and it's coarse and it's irritable.
Yeah.
And they were animals and I slaughtered them like animals. All right.
God. All right. So, folks,
Okay.
I mean, I think if you know what you're getting, you're going to come out happy. But again, we'll dive into the specifics more in a spoiler cast. So that's where we're coming down. We're just kind of civilly coming at it that way. All right.
Yeah, like I said, I am definitely going to see the movie again and give it a second chance, and maybe I'll like it a lot better. So who knows?
All right, we'll see.
All right, folks. So thanks so much for watching us, and yeah, I
Hope
don't
you
know.
have a good feeling about it.
And don't forget to lay your head on the cool side of the pillow.